A little bit about my background. I did go to Pierce. I actually spent 7 years at the junior college level, which is kind of ridiculous, right? And the reason I did that is because at that time I was on a work permit, and I was not a U.S. resident or a citizen. So in order for me to go to the Cal States or UC or anywhere else, I would be having to pay out of state tuition. And so to be able to go to season at, at that rate, um, I would have to be paying USC or UCLA prices, which didn't make any sense to me. So I did get my AA from LA Valley, which is right next to where I went to high school at Grant High School. But after graduating there, since I was working part-time at the Los Angeles Daily News as a reporter, um, I took a bunch of classes at Pierce just to kind of keep the juices going, just waiting for my residency papers to come through so I could transfer to CSUN. I could have gone somewhere else, but at that point, I just wanted to get school done. And since I was working in the Valley, I wanted to stay in the Valley. But that really kind of uh, set me back a little bit because I had a bunch of goals that I could not meet because I couldn't get my bachelor's. So July of 2003, I get my residency. I enrolled at CSUN the next month, and basically spent the next 2.5 years working really hard to get out of CSUN. But the main thing, if I can share any advice with you all, and there's anything you can take from this today, is that I wouldn't be at where I am now without my internships. So I started my very first internship the summer of 2004. I went to a Spanish paper in Dallas, and that just kept on. It became a domino effect. From that internship, I met people who opened up other internships, and I wound up having four internships throughout my schooling, my season schooling, and that ranged from two Spanish papers, one paper in San Angelo, Texas, which nobody's ever heard of. San Angelo, it's a small, tiny little town in the middle of nowhere. You have to drive 2 hours to get to the nearest interstate highway. That's how remote this place is. This place is bigger than LA County and only has about 80,000 people. So publication is only 25,000. It's not very, it's not big, but community paper, small paper. I learned a lot moving into a town that was essentially tiny compared to LA, and try to make stories there. And then all of that led to my AP internship in Chicago, which was really cool to have. On top of that, the other advice is that I give to students is sign up for your journalism organizations, whether it's NPPA, SPJ, NAHJ, you name it. And those create a lot of opportunities. I got free trips to, let's say, a free trip to New York City for a week, a free trip to Vegas, to Fort Lauderdale, and Fort Worth, Texas. And by free, I mean, they all paid for these trips to go there, but it was a lot of work. And during that week I was there, they brought in students from across the country to put out publications during the national conventions for SPJ and NAHJ. And why is this important? It's important because you get to perform in front of all the pros. If you're at SPJ National Convention, you got everybody from editors to managing editors to reporters, and more importantly, to recruiters who are there looking for the next talent. And what best way to showcase your talent than by having your name and your content on the papers that get printed daily during the convention. So I actually was right in the middle of the one in Fort Worth, Texas, with NASJ, and a recruiter came into the newsroom and asked, she had a front page photo and said, "Who is this guy? I need to meet him." she was recruiter for Fort Lauderdale for the Sun Sentinel, and so she brought me, like, as soon as that internship ended in Texas, I went straight on and did 5 months in Florida, which was really cool because it was a year that Hurricane Katrina, Hurricane Rita, Wilma, and a bunch of other tropical storms happened. So it was very informational for me, and I built a great portfolio covering storms, which growing up in the Valley, never been around a hurricane, so being able to put that on my portfolio really kind of helped me drive my images. So those are the two tips that I offered, is get on internships and seek out the national convention internships, because a lot of them, they pay. So all you have to do is show up and do the work. I guess that's really my background and my tips. Do you want me to show some work, the work that I showed at CSUN?
Absolutely. As much as you have time for before your other obligation, we would love it.
Yeah, sounds good. Let me just let's see. All right, where is it? Here we go. So this is the work that I showed at Northridge last week, and it's a little bit of everything that I've shot. My job as an AP photographer in Baltimore is to cover everything that's important, news and sports and some entertainment. But the main thing for me is I would consider my job about 70% sports, and then the rest news and features. And I have a lot of downtime since I only have a couple of professional sporting teams in Baltimore. So I have a lot of times to do news and to do my own photography that I like doing, which is a lot of the featurey, moon rises, sunrises, stuff like that. What you're seeing here is my hardcore news coverage. This includes everything that I shot from college up until last week. So a variation of just breaking news events across the country. I've done the Boston bombing follow up, the manhunt that happened there, hurricanes or Superstorm Sandy. I was in Minneapolis. These photos that you're about to see are from Minneapolis here, from the George Floyd protest that sparked off after George Floyd was murdered. Among other stuff that I covered, Sandy Hook Elementary mass shooting, and just a slew of news across the country. A lot of politics. Since I'm close to Washington, I get to do a lot of that. These are the images from January 6th here, and I was stationed outside. My colleague and I, we were actually the 2-man team that allowed us to cover the everything outside of the Capitol. So we got to see a lot of that. These images are from the border. Last year was a good year for me because I finally got to do some border work. I'm an immigrant. I came to the States when I was 10 years old, undocumented. As I mentioned earlier, I was undocumented for a long time. So covering the border was really special for me. These are now the fun pictures, the pictures that really kind of make me sane after seeing all the funerals and all the sad stuff. I love photographing the moon, like I said, and most of these pictures are self-initiated. I just have a free day to do whatever, and I figure out what's going on, and I go out and photograph it, because I got to make a picture every day. I heard your advisor just a minute ago here that you have to have images to fill the page, and not just a few images. So that's what I try to do when I'm free from doing news or sports. I'm out there trying to take a compelling photo that that newspapers and magazines can use if they need the space. So just a little bit of that, some international work, not much. You'll see most of my international work in my sports coverage, which is coming up soon. And that's from, I've covered 4 Olympics, 4 Super Bowls, and 1 World Cup. So you'll see those images coming up. But yeah, this is just general news features that are self-generated mostly. It's really kind of fun to be able to just set my day and go about it. I'm the only photographer in Maryland, so I have to make sure that Maryland is covered one way or another. Here are the sports images that I've shot. Some of them you may be familiar because I have been lucky enough to be assigned to some really cool assignments. You just saw a little bit ago the Odell Beckham 3-finger catch, which was considered as one of the best catches in NFL history. And from LA, this situation here. I don't need to explain it. Who those people are and why it's important. So it's really cool. Being so close to Washington and being a Dodgers fan. When I heard that they were going to go to the White House, I put my name in the hat and said, told my boss, hey, I never asked for assignments, but this is the one I want to ask for, and they allowed me to do it, which was in a sense a dream come true for me. And yeah, so it's a little bit more sports here, just a variety of just sports that I have covered, and also all these sports have been assigned to me. Like I said earlier, I don't really pick and choose. They just tell me where to go and which assignments I'm going to do, and I just try to do my best to get the images that tell the story for the game. And yeah, so this is the stuff that I showed at CSUN last week, and this is it. This last picture I'm really proud of because it was during my off time in LA last week. I wanted to photograph Dodger Stadium with my drone, and it worked out just perfectly because it was that a Tuesday a week ago when we had that the storm and hail and everything across the valley, and even towards San Gabriel Valley. And it worked out perfectly because the sunset just lit up really well. And it just so happened that the Dodger Stadium was getting fixed. They had an event there with some golf situation, and they tore the field apart. So they were just fixing it up, and they had the lights on, which really kind of made it super cool, added to this picture. But that's the work that I showed at CSUN, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Well, we would love, it's Jeff, I work with Jill. We would love to know a little bit about just, I think for a lot of young photographers, they're not quite sure if it's the right path for them, if their work is good enough. So I'd love it if you could take me back to your time, actually, even before CSUN at Pierce, where you already thinking, this is for me, I know this is my path, or was it like, I'll just try this, I have no idea what I'm doing, but
for me, it was always my path. In fact, when I was 12 years old, I joined my middle school newspaper at Madison Middle School in North Hollywood. And so when I saw my name in print as a 12-year-old, I said, this is what I wanted to do. And for a long time, I wanted to be a sports writer. And that was going according to plan up until I got my internship in Dallas as a photographer, which kind of helped me transition over. I really picked up photography on September 11. I saw the images that came out of the World Trade Center and really impacted me, and it made me want to pursue photography because I thought it was historical, and never did I think that I thought that I was going to be photographing something historical like January 6th. I'll put up those pictures again, but I never thought I would be there that specific type of story, but there it was, and so for me it was a clear path, you know, to do that. It shifted. You know, I'm not longer a sports writer and or a reporter, but as a photographer, as a journalist, you're always reporting. I've been getting compliments a lot through my career about my captions being well written, which I think really has opened up some more avenues for me to do that. But here's I was gonna show the January 6th ones, but I wound up showing George Floyd. I wanted to talk, you know, in reference to your question about you know, if you're not really sure. My this is the picture, like the everything that I shot when I shot my Pulitzer Prize photo, and it you'll see here that it's, you know, there, not every picture is perfect. Not every picture, you know, is the one that's going to be printed. You know, this one's out of focus, and so this one really kind of, this series of images show just the transition. I saw this guy walking with the upside down flag, and I wanted to make a you know, a picture with the fire. So as I'm walking with him and almost kind of running because he was walking pretty fast, I'm setting exposures and I'm checking. I take a picture. I look down. No, that's not quite right. And I you know, I'm making adjustments on my camera as I go. So you said that earlier. You know, you would take 1,000 pictures to get one right. Well, here's like 50 pictures that I shot of this moment, and one is right. So you know, it's getting closer here, and I look at the camera, it's not quite there, and then boom, I get the right exposure, and I keep going. And all these pictures you're seeing are untouched. So you know, it kind of just shows you that, like, for the key moment, I was building up to the key moment, and I just happened to get it at the right spot, because now he's completely dark again, or now he's underexposed because he's no longer in that fire. So there is that worry that, am I good enough? Well, you know, even now I'm always like, well, you know, if I didn't get that one picture, that one you know, right in the moment picture, you know, I wouldn't have a picture. I wouldn't have gotten you know, such an award for it. So so yeah, you know, my biggest I guess advice is, you got to shoot a lot to get something, and you're always going to have to kind of doubt yourself, because I think that's what's going to keep you pushing forward and making yourself better.
Is it difficult for you to keep your emotions in check at sometimes? Are you able to stay in that professional mindset, or is it hard? Do you get scared? Do you get, I don't know, excited? Is it hard?
It's very hard. I think it's since I've been doing this since I was 12 and I'm 43, it's kind of second nature for me to stay pretty neutral. And in most situations, I'm super neutral. I have no feelings whatsoever. On January 6th, I felt you know, very threatened, because for 12 hours, 14 hours, I kept on hearing people telling me that were going to murder me. So I was very scared. It is the only time in my career that I have called my wife or texted my wife and said, you know, pray for me, because it's getting really bad. You know, I do a lot of politics, which and I do it all from, you know, from local politics to up into presidential, and so, you know, some stuff, you know, I'm not quite sure how to feel like, you know, as I'm photographing it, but I keep it really, you know, in check. In fact, the last two presidential campaigns, I've been lucky to do all the debates between the presidents and vice presidents. And so during that month and a half, I completely just go silent on social media about the events I'm covering. I don't want people's opinions to kind of get in my brain as I'm shooting things. I don't post any of that. And then once the last debate happens, I'll put together maybe a gallery of these are the pictures that I photographed during my my debate. So these two images are from this is 2016, from the debates, and this is from 2020. So again, I don't post any of this stuff until I'm done, because I don't want the chatter, the comments to kind of get to me. But I think it's really simple for me to just kind of focus on the images. I have a tough job to be able to tell these pictures. These images, on the technical side of it, my camera is plugged into an Ethernet cord. And as I'm photographing these images are almost in real time popping up on my editor's computer. And he or she are looking at them right away. And within, like when he pulled up his mask here to show it that he had a mask with him, I would say that no more than a minute after this happened, these photos were on the wire available for the world to see. So I'm more worried about that. I'm more worried about getting this photo sharp. I'm more worried about doing the job than what I think, whether I agree with any of my subjects words or not. That's not my place. I just got to deliver the images. One thing, I'll show some of my images from the Super Bowl. Last week when I was in LA for the Super Bowl, which it was really really cool for me, because I was able to be home for the biggest event of my life in LA. So pardon me a second here.
Sure.
Got to find, yeah, here we go. And so I'll just show you some of the highlights. This is essentially, these are all the images that they used to mine, but I'll do a quick one here. So you can just see all the images, but growing up as a Dodger fan and always hearing Randy Newman's "I Love LA" at the end of the games, it's always very special. So when the Rams won, and I'm not a Rams fan or a Cincinnati fan, I could care less who won. I'm photographing the celebrations, and I'm hearing "I Love LA," and I'm crying because it's like super cool. Like, just one of the coolest moments in my career. But at the same time, again, I'm looking for the images, and I was in a stationary position, so I couldn't move around. So I'm looking for, for the emotions. I'm looking for people celebrating, and so I'm crying, but I'm also having to, focus on my job. So here are the celebrations. So these are the photos that got moved on the wire. I have yet, because I've been so busy, and I just got back from LA 2 nights ago, that I haven't gone and done my second edits. And there's a lot more images that I'm going to pull out and moved on the archive just for historical reference. But yeah, they ran 69 of my photos, which is a high number. And we had 9 photographers spread around the field. And I believe that the total is, I think we had over 800 images on the wire, and at least another 800 in the archive. So, 1,600 images from one event put out to the world in almost real time. It's pretty incredible.
Look, this is a very rare opportunity, and obviously we're getting a lot of insight here from someone who has started where you started and has gotten to where he is. Does anyone have any questions? Anything you would like to ask? This is kind of one of those rare opportunities. So we've got a couple of minutes. Does anyone have any questions they'd like to ask?
And I did not tell him to tell you that about captions either. That was I had nothing to do with that. I'm always harassing them about captions.
Yes.
So I was very excited.
That's why
that
we
you
want
said
you
that
to
me.
take all the classes. But does anyone have any questions? Anything at all?
What camera do you use?
So currently AP has switched over to completely all Sony. So for the Super Bowl, I used the Sony A1. My daily camera right now is just the two Sony A9 threes. But honestly, there's so many. All the cameras out there is essentially have the same memory chip. It's just they're built differently, and so the image quality it's about the same. So don't worry about too much of the high end cameras. You seriously could make really nice images with any camera. When I was starting out, I used to always recommend the Canon Rebels, because they're starter cameras. They're pretty affordable, and they get the job done. I started with a very ancient camera, Canon, the was it the 10D, and that camera was so slow. I was shooting sports and it was 3 frames a second, so I really had to kind of learn how to wait for the right moment and click the camera, the shutter button at the right moment. So I strongly suggest starting with the slower cameras, because then you teach yourself how to get the picture done, and not just press a button and hope for one to happen. But yeah, that's Sony is what we use now.
Any other questions? Anything?
Julio, I really appreciate that you showed us behind the scenes of that
Yes.
very famous photo, because I think a lot of photographers just want to show the prize-winning best stuff. And I think for the students, that's really important to see that even a professional photographer who's won top awards, who's covered Super Bowls and Olympics and big moments in history, when you're at something, your first picture isn't perfect and you work to get there.
Right. And a lot of students also think that they just think they're supposed to get it right the first time, and that's just not the case.
So this picture I'm showing here I shot this during my internship in Fort Lauderdale. So I was a senior at CSUN, and I took the fall semester off so I can do this internship, and I was on my way to photograph a doctor in his office, just a quick portrait, and these people in this frame were driving in front of me, and we saw this car sinking, so they pulled over and rushed over to see what was going on. I had my camera ready. I didn't need to check batteries. I didn't need to make sure where my memory card was. And as I'm running, and it's kind of similar to the fire, the upside down picture where like I was making adjustments on my camera as I ran. I shot like a club scene the night before, so obviously the camera settings were completely off. So I'm running and I'm doing setting up my exposure, and I happened to shoot this picture right before he leaped over. This has been my favorite and my most important image ever. I think even more than the flag photo, because I was ready, and it was an exercise that I did. I always just picked up my camera and started taking pictures of what was going on. And this picture was never published because fortunately there was nobody in the car. This was an insurance fraud type of thing where they put the pipe to the accelerator and just dropped it on the canal. But this is humanity. This is people responding. There's alligators in that water, and they're nobody jumped in to see what was happening, like because they couldn't see anybody in there, and this person was obviously afraid of alligators, and it turned out to be okay. But the picture was never published. But still, I still consider this my most favorite image ever.
That's pretty cool.
Look at this. Just so you know, I just wanted to show you. I don't know if you can see me, but I went and pulled out in the archives. Can you see me? There's you. There's your
Let me stop my there we go. So that's from the Gold Cup, which was really cool. So that's brings up a very good tip that I have for students is um, right now as a student, you have so many opportunities to go cover the events that you want to because you're what's with the Pierce Roundup. Yeah, I there's so many times when I was at Pierce that I called up the LA Dodgers and I asked for a press pass to cover the game for Pierce College, and they gave it to me. And that woman in that picture who plays for Pierce at that time, she was playing for Pierce, but also played for the Panama or the Costa Rica Panama for the Panama national team, and she participated in the Gold Cup and also the World Cup of women. And so when the World Cup was in Los Angeles, I got to cover the final game of the Women's World Cup representing Pierce because that was a way to get in a credential. So take the advantage right now of using what you have. If you're a photo editor, you can call up places and ask for credentials because most likely they'll give it to you.
It's amazing. There's a picture of Adolfo here, Perez, and he just won a historic number of games. And you've got a nice portrait of him from forever ago. This is so amazing to me. Wait, where is he?
Yeah.
It's so amazing. And he's still here.
He's still there. Wow, that's really cool.
What was it?
I photographed their games so much. I think I photographed like 12 Pierce games because they went to the playoffs and lost to Long Beach in the second round, I believe. And so I had so many images that at the end of the year, they Adolfo invited me to their luncheon, to their big end of year, and I showed a slideshow of all the images, and they're like, "Wow, how come we haven't seen these pictures?" And I was like, "They were in the roundup,
Well, this has meant so much to us. I can't even tell you. It means we try to get people who have been at Pierce, but to show students, I just don't think students, when they sit in this room, it's just so hard for them to picture that they can go much further than beyond this room. And I just want them to know that they can. And so hearing your stories are just amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely possible, and it's all networking. I like I said earlier, it's just I'm here, and y'all can share my contact info, and if students reach out if you want me to do some portfolio reviews or whatnot.